All right, everybody, how's it going? Tonight I'm going to be making some Bayou self shrimp grits. So I got all the ingredients laid out for the most part. We're going to go through how I'm going to set that up. And this will be just a straight cooking video. I just got an extra pound of shrimp that Dad brought me up from Louisiana. And someone gave me a package of this here stone grits. So I got some legit grits to use. Stone ground white grits. So this ain't no instant grits. We're gonna make the grits up first, and then I'll show you how to make the little sauce that I put inside the grits. And then I've already made the shrimp, so I'll just kind of explain what I did in that case, just because it takes a little extra time, so I wanted to have it done. Pretty straightforward to make shrimp grits, so especially boiling the shrimp, so I don't expect anybody to have a problem with that. Anyway, whole lot of talking and a little bit of cooking, and that's kind of what we're gonna do. So I'll try to make this a pretty quick video, and I'll get right into it here in a sec.
Here's a quick time lapse. So I use chicken stock with water. Follow the instructions with the grits. Other than that, I added a little bit of Tony Chachere's, as you'll see here, in place of salt and pepper for the grits.
Put that skillet on high. I'm gonna drop that butter down in there and let that get hot. So what I'm doing here is I'm gonna saute this onion in this butter, and that's the plan to get the start of the sauce that will go in here. Help it get going a little bit. I got just some really cheap cooking wine, which if you're going to use cooking wine, the cheaper the better, at least in my opinion. And then I just got some thyme to give that a little bit of season. We'll put that in there. And about a tablespoon of garlic or so. All right. There we go. So we got a little wine, a little butter, onion, garlic, thyme. There you go. In this pan, I've got 2 tablespoons of butter, a tablespoon of garlic, about a quarter of a cut onion, and some thyme, about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of thyme. I don't really know, I just shook it in there. I'm probably going to add more, so let's go ahead and do that. It's going to be POV cooking. Alright, and in the pot I have shrimp. I made the shrimp with a little bit of some orange peel and some orange in there, and I had 3 tablespoons of Zatarain's shrimp boil, filled up water, put a tablespoon of garlic and a tablespoon of salt. I brought it to a boil for about 5 to 10 minutes, cut the water off, set it off to the side, dumped a handful of ice in it, and let it soak for about an hour. I kept tasting it until the shrimp tasted like they were fully cooked to me. And it is to taste, I would say, because the longer you let them soak, the more spicy they're going to get. Okay, we're just going to continue to let this. We got it up to a boil. So that's been on a boil now. So that's been on a boil now. We're going to turn it to a low heat. Put it to a low heat, and I'm going to go ahead and cover it for a little while. Alright, so I'm going to let this cook on this side. This is going to just saute that onion in that butter and that wine. Also put a little bit of wine in there if my video didn't catch it. So I got a little bit of wine in there. And we're going to let that simmer. I don't know if you ever heard about this. In the deep south, we got these things called fire ants. And when I was a kid, we used to just go pour packets of instant grits or grits on top of the fire ant nest, because grits absorb so much water and get so big that if the fire ant would eat, you know, at least in theory, if the fire ant ate so many grits, it would kill it. It would just explode their stomach and they would die. So it was like fire ant poison. You used to go pour them grits on them fire ants back in the day. I don't know if it works or not, or if it was just something they told us kids to do to keep us out of the house, but we sure did do it. Okay, so I got this reduced a little bit. I went ahead and turned the heat off. Onions cooked down a little bit there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start peeling these shrimp and throwing them in this skillet in this garlic butter sauce. Just like that. I got that shrimp and that sauteed onion and that garlic and butter and wine. So just going to set that there on a little low heat just to kind of heat it back up real quick. So while I'm letting that cook down, I just realized I never added any salt. So I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of salt in all of that grits. So make sure it's nice and salted. And there you go. And we keep stirring it up, letting it cook. I'm trying to let it evaporate, so I took the lid off to let it get some of the water, cook some of the water off, so that when I add everything else I'm going to add in there, it doesn't make it too soupy. So I'm having just a little bit of trouble getting it to thicken up. So what I'm doing is I've turned the heat up and I'm just kind of stirring it to try to get rid of some of that moisture. So I think the package called for a little bit, the instruction calls for a little bit too much water, and I'm trying to remedy that here. So I'm just going to turn the heat up on it a little bit, and I'm just going to keep working it till it starts thickening up on me, let it evaporate. So it could take a little bit of time, but I got plenty of time, so it's no big deal. I would just caution, if you're going to try to do this with the stone ground grits, you just, you know, maybe put a little less water than the package says initially. You could always add more, but you can't. It's harder to take it out. Okay, so I turned up the heat a little bit, and I just kind of, you know, kept stirring it. I let it evaporate. Some time has definitely elapsed, but you can see it's not like soupy now. It's more thick. It's thickening, which is good. That's what we want. Okay. So at this stage, I've got some triple cheddar blend cheese here, right? And I am going to put about half of this in there. And then I cook to taste. I don't cook to measure, because, you know, depending on what types of ingredients you have, you're just going to get different results. So you put it in and you try it until it tastes like it's good, right? I know some people don't like that response, but I don't know any other way to be, right? So I cook to taste. I do not cook to measure. So if it doesn't taste right, I'll add more. If I put too much in of something, I'll try to figure out some way to balance it out, or, like, you know, I'll do something else. There's ways to reduce the impact of the flavor. Sometimes you can add more of something or take something, you know, it's hard to take stuff away, but there's ways to reduce the impact of a certain flavor. Anyway, that's what I do. I cook to taste. So usually I start out by adding a little bit, and I see, okay, is that where I want it? And then if it is, then I will I'll stop, and if not, I just keep going. So the sauce, if you will. Do I want to do that? I think I do. So there's really a couple different ways that you could do this. You could put mushroom soup here. You could put heavy whipping cream and go down a totally different route. However, I want it to be a little thicker. So in this case, I'm going to put this. Now, obviously, if you ever go to a restaurant and order shrimp grits, they're going to have a totally different presentation style. So they're going to have a completely, when you're in a restaurant, they're going to have a completely different presentation style, right? So what I mean by that in presentation style is, because it's very hard to see the shrimp in shrimp grits, they get buried up in it. What typically will happen is that they make something akin to this sauce, and they keep the shrimp out of it, right? They're like, okay, we're gonna keep the shrimp out, because when they give you your little bowl of grits, it's gonna be, 75% grits, 10% sauce, and then a couple of shrimp on top or whatever, right? It's like overwhelmingly grits. So because of that, they tend to hold the shrimp until like at the very end, and sometimes they don't even peel the shrimp. They just put the shrimp on top, and that's really, I don't want to say it's a gimmick or something. It's just a presentation style that ensures that the patron of the restaurant knows that they got the shrimp. So in this case, I don't care about that, right? I care about trying to get as much shrimpy flavor into the grits as possible, right? And I don't care if I can't see the shrimp and know that they're there, because I'm putting them in there. I'm the one cooking this food. I know what's in there, so I don't need to worry about that. So I've got the mushroom soup, butter, wine, shrimp, the onion, and the thyme. All that goodness is going in the pot with the cheese grits, right? And they're cheesy grits. So now this is going to really start looking slightly different. And as you can see, kind of what I talked about now, right? It's very hard to see the shrimp. Like, imagine you order shrimp grits, and this is what you get, right? So you come in, you're like, oh, I want some shrimp grits, and you get this. And then you have to dig around to find the 1 or 2 pieces of shrimp that are going to be in there per spoon or ladle of deal. Well, you're obviously, like, people are going to complain, they couldn't find the shrimp, whatever. So that's why they put the shrimp, 2 or 3 pieces of shrimp right on top, so that you know it's in there, right? Like I said, I'm not concerned about seeing the shrimp. I'm making this meal. I know what's in there, so it's mixed in so that I can maximize the flavor profile of the grit itself, right? So the grits are going to taste maximum shrimp in this situation. Okay. So I have no idea how people feel about watching someone else eat. It is kind of a weird thing, right? So I'm just going to take a small spoon of this. So here we go. Small spoon. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to take a small spoon of that. I'm not sure how everybody feels about watching someone else eat, but oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is so good. I know people are like, oh, why would you put the Campbell's soup in there? Come on, man. Because you can't mess it up that way. Whew, I'm telling you. That is really, really good. Anyway, hope this video came out well. Hope you like it. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. That's how I make Bayou Self shrimp grits. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you think this video is good. Let me know what you think. And I will catch you next time.